Right, so tonight we're here to celebrate an absolutely wonderful and inspirational woman, and very importantly, the launch of Quietly Visible. I think that there are many people in this room who, like me, consider Carol not just someone who works tirelessly to inspire and encourage and other people, mainly women, but also someone who really looked to us and being very model. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Helena. I work here at RBS, NatWest is part of RBS, and I've known Carol for 5 years, about 5 years. Carol has been a real friend and ally of the RBS Women's Network and all of the work that we do here. We're going to have a very straightforward agenda for you tonight. We're going to hear a little bit from Carol. We're going to have a little panel discussion around introversion with a panel of introverts. I'm one of them. And then we're going to finish up with a little bit of an interview, which is very exciting, I think, Carol. I've never heard you being interviewed before. But before just introducing the wonderful panel of speakers that we've got tonight, I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes talking about this space. So for those of you who don't know this is called the Accelerator Hub. It's an initiative driven by NatWest which targets entrepreneurs. It's about supporting the communities, about supporting the SMEs, about supporting entrepreneurs, sector agnostic. You may have heard of it because there's hubs like this all across the country. Can't remember how many locations, but they're everywhere. And I want to, for those of you here who know entrepreneurs or who know people who are looking to grow their business and who just need that little bit of extra help, please, do reach out to me. When Carol asked if we could host this launch, we're absolutely delighted. We felt incredibly honoured. And for me, this accelerator space, there are so many wonderful overlaps with everything that Carol represents for me. This is a really open space. Most of them, well, those of you who arrived early, you may have seen some of them. All sort of busy, and this space is absolutely abuzz with creativity. It's open, it's diverse, it's about supporting one another, and it's just such strong overlaps with everything that Carol is and represents to me. So in terms of the other people here for this evening, I am delighted to say that on the panel we have someone who has the best title in the whole wide world. Her name is Susan Heaton-Wright, and she is a superstar communicator. Fantastic. We have Sassy Panchal, who is a leadership coach. Dianaba Fofana, who is a principal auditor at Deutsche. Much like myself, my name is Helena. I'm head of legal here at RBS for asset and invoice finance. It's a lot more exciting than it sounds. And then we also have Marsha Dixon, who is going to conduct the interview excuse me, with Carol. Marsha is a PR specialist, a writer, and the host of Destined to Soar, personal development events for women, something I don't know much about, but something that I will definitely try to find out more about later. But so, without further ado, Carol, I'm going to ask you to step up and tell us a bit about your new book.
As an introvert, I'm not one for all this, running onto the stage type thing. That is so not me. So Ryan, I'm going to get you after for that. That was his idea. So thank you everybody for coming. First of all, I want to thank Helena and RBS. As she said, I've worked with them for the past, this year will be 6 years actually, since I first came.
We haven't aged a day.
No. They were the first corporate organisation that I actually worked for when I started my business, so I have got a strong affection for them and for the Women's Network, because that then helped me catapult what I do to other organisations as well. One of the things I would just like to say for anybody who is maybe starting out and is sort of thinking, how do they get to work with the corporates and things like that, I met one of Helen's predecessors, networking. And she was interested in what I did, and she asked if I'd come in to talk to their women's network. That was 2014, and I've done work regularly with them ever since. And at the time, I remember I got an email asking me to send in a list of my services. And because I'd just started and it was just me, one woman band, I kind of panicked, and I thought, well, I haven't got a fancy brochure to send them. And I was speaking to someone and they said, well, you don't need a fancy brochure because it's you that they're interested in. And sometimes we wait till everything is perfect before we make a move or we take the next step. And sometimes we just need to get going where we're at. And so that was what I did. I just sent an email, listed out what I had to offer. They were interested. I did the workshop for them. I did webinars for them. I went into Manchester and did stuff for them. And I've been doing stuff with them ever since. So thank you, Helena, and thank you for hosting my launch. And I'd also like to thank my mum. Because without my mum, I would not be here. So without my mum, none of you lot would be here. Unfortunately, my dad is no longer with us, but my mum is here to represent. And thanks to all my family, my sisters, friends who've come from Sheffield, cousins from Birmingham, friends from Birmingham, everybody that's come, people that I've worked with, people that have supported me along my journey. The people that I want to be here are here. So thank you, everybody. And why a book for introverted women? That's what a lot of people have been asking me. Why have you written a book for introverted women? Why is it needed? So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. A while ago, recently, it was sort of towards the end of last year, I met a woman and she's got 2 children, a girl and a boy. Boy's 7, girl's 5. The boy is extroverted, the girl is introverted. And she said that whenever, she didn't understand what introversion was, but she just thought that her child, there was something wrong with her child because she wasn't like her extroverted son. She said when they went to family gatherings or social events, her son, he would just run into the room playing with all the other children, and the little girl would stay by her, and she would push her daughter and tell her to go and join in. The daughter didn't want to, but she would try and make her force her to go and join in. And she said she walked past the school one day and she saw her daughter in the playground on her own. And so she went into the school and she spoke to the teacher. She said, why is my daughter on her own? And the teacher said, well, she's happy. She's happy playing with children and she's happy being on her own as well. Because that's what introverts are like. We like alone time and we like time to be around people. But she didn't understand that. So imagine that little girl, if she's constantly told, you're not good enough because you're not going to play with the other children, or you're not loud enough, or you're not outgoing, what do you think that effect it will have on her as she grows up? Another story, another woman that I met recently, she said to me her daughter came home from school upset one day because she'd been marked down a grade. And the only reason she was given for that was because she didn't put her hand up enough in class. She's introverted. Imagine how that girl, as she grows up and becomes a woman, what her self-belief will be like if she's constantly told that she's not good enough because she's not allowed, and she's not loud and outgoing, she's not speaking enough. Introversion, there are a lot of misconceptions about what introversion is. When we went networking once, I told a woman that I was introverted, and she said to me, you don't look like an introvert. And I thought to myself, what on earth is an introvert supposed to look like? And so I put a call out on social media and asked people, when you think of the word introvert, what comes to mind? And people said things like social recluse, socially anxious, shy, lacking confidence, doesn't like public speaking, hello, scared, all these negative words that they were saying about when they thought of introversion, which to me just shows the extent of the misconceptions about introversion, because those could also apply to extroverted people as well. And in the corporate space, it's very much the case of he or she who shouts loudest is the one that gets heard, the one that gets the recognition, the one that gets the promotions, and the ones that gets ahead. And it's often the quieter ones that get overlooked. But introverts make great leaders too. And introverts are just as skillful. It's just that we draw our energy in different ways. And introversion and extroversion is all about how we are energized. And introverts typically are, we recharge by going inwards and being on our own. We're concerned with things internal to our mind. Extroverts, on the other hand, they draw energy from being around people. That's how they get they're energized, and they're concerned with things which are external to their minds. And in social environments which are noisy, such as parties, introverts, if they spend too long in those sorts of environments, they become overstimulated, and it's draining. It's not that we don't enjoy them, because I like to party with the best of them. It's just that too long in those sorts of environments are draining for us, and that is what the difference is. But a lot of people have those misconceptions. Because children are told they're not good enough, they grow up believing that they're not good enough. That affects them as they become women and go into the workplace. They have those internal barriers going on, as well as the external barriers that they have as women who are trying to climb the corporate ladder. And we all know about women and the challenges that they have trying to get through the glass, smash through the glass ceiling. So that's why a book for introverted women is needed. One, to help those introverted women who have, over the years, because of those misconceptions, viewed themselves as a way that they're not good enough, that their self-belief has been affected because the world has told them that because they're quiet, they're not good. And also to help them navigate the challenges and barriers, the external barriers that they will come across in their corporate life. And also to increase awareness to those who are not introverted about the biases that exist, and that introverts are just as good as extroverts. So that's the reason behind my book. And as I started my business, I began to notice that I was working with a lot of introverted women, and I was doing some reflecting on the people that I'd coached, and a lot of them were introverted women like myself. They'd done well in their careers, leaders, but there was things that were holding them back, and there was also those external barriers. And so I started writing a lot of articles about the challenges that introverts face as leaders in the corporate environment, and I started getting inundated with messages, emails, people commenting on my articles about telling me their stories. Some of them are quite horrific. One woman told me how she went for a job and they told her that they really liked her, but they were concerned about employing her because she was introverted. Now, in this day and age, that is not acceptable, I don't think. And so that is why a book for introverted women is needed. And it's not just for women, it's for men as well. So if you've got introverted men in your lives, men have read the book and said that they found it very helpful as well. And so that, like I said, is why the book is needed.